Alrighty, let's get started. So, again, today we're going to be talking about one of the most powerful and, as I say, often underused tools inside of ThunderTix, your CRM, which is a customer relationship manager, and our in-house mass email system. Most organizations, are sitting on years of valuable customer data. Every ticket purchase, donation, membership, attendance record, really any sort of customer interaction tells a story about who your patrons are, what they care about, and where they're willing to put their money. And I think the challenge is really turning that information into meaningful marketing campaigns and then hopefully revenue for your organization. Many organizations, from my experience, and I'm sure some of you may relate to this, but they'll send the same email to everybody in their patron database and kind of hope that some of the emails will land and that they'll get some ticket revenue from that, and they probably do. But all of your patrons aren't the same. Should a first-time ticket buyer receive the same email as a longtime subscriber, right? Should a donor receive the same message as someone who has never made a gift to your organization? So today I really want to go over one, what the CRM is, the filters that we have in our CRM, what's available to you. Two, we'll look at some examples of how to layer these filters, to create more highly targeted marketing lists. And three, we're going to go into the mass email system, where we'll build an email and I'll show you the different ways you can do that. Choose your audience and send a campaign directly through ThunderTix. Again, the thing I love about this is ThunderTix is not only a ticketing platform or even something where you can sell packages and memberships, it's also a really powerful CRM and marketing tool. And it's all in-house. And I think a lot of you can appreciate that, not having multiple kind of different systems to go into when you're trying to, work on these efforts, and especially if you have a small team. So feel free to follow along in your own, ThunderTix account. But yeah, here's our ThunderTix interface right when we log in. Your CRM is going to live in your side menu. You're going to want to click on Patron Database here, and then go ahead and click into CRM and Mass Mail. Now, when you click into our CRM, you're going to see a few things. On the left-hand side, you're going to see all of these different options. These are the search criteria that we have available in our CRM. So if you look through this, you'll see you can search by patron information, location. We have an order search and a donation search. All these different date ranges. I'm going to show you how to really, utilize these events and packages, a has not purchased feature, attendance, genres and classifications. We have our donations. You can, search for your donors, memberships, and our brand new feature, our life cycle and RFM scoring, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. So you can see we have a lot of different ways that you can search for your patrons and filter them. We'll click out of here. And keep in mind, when you use these filters, not only can you use the filters, but you can layer the filters. And I think that's a really important key here. Not only can I search for people who have purchased a season package, I can also search for people who haven't yet purchased the season package. So I'm going to show you a few examples of those just here in a little bit. A few other things to know on your CRM. Anytime someone purchases a ticket, a donation, anything of that source, we create a patron profile for that person. If you click into their patron profile, you're going to be able to see a few things. One, you're going to be able to see all of their baseline information, their details, name, phone number, customer ID. You'll see customer since. If you've imported customers, that date is going to be from your customer import. If they were customers with you long before you came into ThunderTix. You have their billing information, their shipping address. You have their total purchases, so kind of like a rundown of what that is. Any customer classifications that they fall under, you can click them or they'll auto-populate depending on what you've done here. This is our newest feature again, our RFM and lifecycle scoring that we'll touch on in a little bit. Any customer notes, their giving summary, what have they donated in the last, 12 months? What have they donated all their time with your organization? Reservation history, you have their order history, whether they're a member or not, orders with balances, purchased or received gift cards, and their imported orders. So it's really the point of this is to give you a entire overlook of this patron, their activity, with your organization in every capacity that you could think of. Keep in mind, there's also actions that you can take on this page. If you get any fraudulent buyers and you have their information, you can always block these buyers. You'll see there's a few different things that you can do depending on the level of urgency that exists for that. You can also process transactions here. If I want to process an event ticket, package, donation, keep in mind you can always do backdated donations here. You can process that transaction. When you get to the screen, all of their patron information will be filled out. So it becomes pretty easy to do that. And you can always merge customer records here if you did have duplicates. So I just wanted to give you a short little rundown of your patron profiles and what those are going to look like. Now that we're in the CRM, we've kind of looked at some of the baseline filters that we have available and our patrons. I wanted to bring you into something a little bit deeper than that, which is how do we, again, take all of this information? How do we take these filters? How do we take all of our patron data? And how do we target the right people for the goals that we have in the organization? So I put together a few different segments. I'm going to call them audience segmentation recipes because the recipe is all the different segments we're putting together to target the perfect person for, the search that you're looking for. And I wanted to put something together that I feel like most of our clients could relate to. If I could only send 8 campaigns this year, through the ThunderTix Mass Mail system, what filters would I select and how would I search for these patrons? So let's go through a few of these. My segment one, and I think this is one of the most powerful segments, is most likely to buy again. So this is your highest converting audience in the database, right? These are people who have purchased recently with you, have already demonstrated, that they're willing to purchase from your organization, that they enjoy the shows. And it's a pretty responsive group of people. That's the whole point is this is a recent, patron who is interested in your organization. Our recipe here for the CRM. So we want to look for people who have at least 2 orders, purchased within the last 12 months, and have not yet purchased our upcoming show or production. So let's exit out of here and we'll go back into our CRM. Let's filter for these specific options. Now, in general options, you'll see status and customers. I always look for active customers and exclude the deceased customers. It's up to you if you'd like to exclude that or not. I also typically will not click opt-in only, but even if you don't click it, it depends on what you're doing. If you send a mass email through ThunderTix, it's not going to send out to the people who have opted out of your emails. So it's a really good thing to know. It's up to you whether you filter for it or not. Anyways, back to our recipe. So we're going to go ahead and go into this order tab. So my first, ingredient is I want to see people who have purchased at least 2 orders. So I'm going to fill that out here. Now, anytime I search for orders or donations, I have to put a date range. So keep that in mind. It's not going to search everyone forever who has purchased 2 orders. You have to clarify this with the date range. But I'm going to do in the last 12 months. So I'm going to go ahead and do June 1st of 2025, and we'll go all the way to today's date. So I have these two first filters. The last one is I want to see out of these people who have not yet purchased the upcoming production that I have. So I'm going to go into my event slash package section, and I'm going to look under have not yet purchased for my upcoming event here. When I do that, I'm going to click search and it's going to put all of these filters at the top here. So I can see, again, anyone who has purchased at least 2 orders within the last 12 months who has not yet purchased my upcoming show. Again, super powerful kind of combination. You can target exactly the people who have not even purchased these tickets yet to get them to purchase these tickets. Now, when I put together a recipe, a really nice thing in the ThunderTix CRM is that I can save segments. So if this is one that I'm going to be sending out pretty regularly, at the top kind of corner here, you'll see this button, Save as Segment. And you can name the segment and you can describe, the exact filters or search criteria or just a description of what that segment is. When I do that, you'll see I have my saved segments here. That's going to allow me to automatically apply these filters if I did that. So if I cleared this and I clicked on my most likely to buy again filter, it's going to automatically filter these. Now, for your date range, if you did need to update that, you could always update your date range here. It's just going to autofill for whatever you had in the saved segment. So a nice little shortcut, if you do have a lot of saved segments, to, do it this way. Okay, let's go back. Let's see another one that we have here. First time buyers who never returned. We all know these people, the one-off shows, whatever it may be. How do we capture these people? So again, we have our recipe. We want to look for people who have purchased one order. Their first purchase was in like 3 to 12 months ago, right? And have had no purchases since those 3 to 12 months. So let's go back into our CRM. This one's going to be a little bit more layered. Keep in mind, you can always click that clear all button if you're doing multiple searches. It's just going to clear out all of the options. Again, I like to go in and click active and exclude deceased. Okay, so our recipe. First things first is we have to at least have one order. So I want to know that these people have purchased one order, and I'm going to say within the last 3 to 12 months. So I'm going to do June 1st of 2025, and I'm going to go to January of 2026. Now, the other thing I want to make sure I'm doing is retrieving new customers only. So right now I'm searching for people who have purchased once within this date range, but I'm not necessarily searching for people who have only purchased that and are brand new. So we have that option here, retrieve new customers only. And I'm going to retrieve them from the date that I chose here. So I'm going to go ahead and do June 1st of 2025. Now, the last thing I have to filter for to make sure I'm capturing these people is that I also want to see that they have not purchased any orders since X date. So we have this last filter here, has not purchased, and there's a since button. Now keep in mind, we can also do within a date range or any item or donated at any time. But right now we're going to do since, and we're going to say January 1st of 2026, and we're going to hit search. So this is a super layered search, right? We are targeting these specific people. Let's see how many people we've filtered here. 211 customers. So with all of my filters, this is going to be my group of patrons that I can target for different campaigns, right? A welcome back offer, a special invitation. What should I see next? Advertise your new shows. You can build your marketing campaigns around these people. Okay, let's go on to another one. Loyal but lapsed patrons. We have people who love your organization, who have a history of purchasing with your organization. They just stopped coming to your shows. I know COVID really, messed up kind of the flow of all performing arts and live performances in general of, people being active in their communities and not being scared to go out. And sometimes I feel like people have reported that they've struggled to kind of hop back on that and retain their audience. So let's try to target these patrons. Our recipe is at least 5 orders. You have had to order 5 times in the last 2 years and have no purchases within the last 12 to 18 months. We're going to put together this campaign. So, same thing. I mean, this is very similar to what we just did. We don't have to go through it super intensely, but we want at least 5 orders. Again, we want a customer from at least 2 years ago. So, you're going to put that date of 2024. And then we want to say we've had no purchases in the last 12 to 18 months. So we'll filter that way and we can search for those patrons. So again, another really good search to kind of have in your arsenal, and you can create those marketing campaigns around these specific searches. How do I win these people back? How do I, announce my upcoming season? Any special offers or coupons? You can include a coupon code in your marketing campaign. So different things that you can do. Okay, this is a really good one. Frequent buyers who are not subscribers. These are your people who buy your tickets all the time, but will not purchase or invest in an actual season package. The question is, how do we upsell these already participating patrons? So our recipe, we want them to have at least 4 orders, have purchased multiple productions, but has not purchased a subscription package. So, the point you can search for and filter for those people who are your most, popular individual ticket sales buyers, but just aren't quite committed yet to your season packages and target them that way. Okay. The almost donor. We all know that we have our ticket buyers who aren't yet, contributors or, fundraisers or into donations. So, how do we capture that audience? How do we get the people who have not contributed to fundraising but are very active in our organization to, eventually, hopefully be a donor? So, if we're back in our database, oops, we are going to go into our orders. So the recipe here is we want at least 5 orders. These are, high level ticket buyers. We know they're active. Let's say we want it in the last 2 years of our, ticket purchases. We'll do that here. And then what you can do, again, has not purchased, you'll click any item or donated at any time. Those are going to target really popular, patrons who purchase a lot of tickets but don't yet contribute to your organization, and you can target them that way. Keep in mind for donations, while we're on that note, we also have this really nice section. You can filter people by all of the donor classifications that you've created in your fundraising campaigns to see, who exists in each one. I can also, search for different campaigns, who has donated to this campaign, this campaign. You can see that you can look for people who have donated to any of the selected campaigns or to all of the selected campaigns. Donation applied to the purchase process or a specific campaign. And you can run a donation report. So you can also run a report of all your patrons who have never donated, and that would be the same exact filter. So really good ways to target, again, these donors that, haven't, are potential donors, but aren't quite there yet. So just kind of a good way to do that. Okay. We have a few more. I'm not going to, go into like tons of these, but I did want to just show you some, active examples here. So we have our former subscribers. The recipe is somebody who has purchased a previous subscription but has not yet purchased my current package. This is a really quick search in our event/package section. Again, we can search for our 2025 package and say anyone who has not yet purchased from our 2025 to our 2026, and we can search for those people. Now, my, organization's looking pretty good. I only have one person who hasn't renewed their subscription. But if you have a long list of people here, it's how do you target these people to get them to renew their subscriptions? So it's a really good, simple search in our CRM. We have our genre super fans. I have a musical coming out, and I want to search for everyone who loves musicals and attends musicals, right? So if I go into my database, I can look under genres and classifications. I can click for musicals, and I can also search for people who have, attended at least 3 or have at least 3 orders within the musical genre, right? So again, I can search under these specific layers to find the exact people I'm targeting. These people want to see musicals. Lastly, holiday show buyers. I know a lot of our organizations have holiday shows. Sometimes those are one-off patrons who really only go to the holiday show once a year. It's the same concept as our season subscribers, right? We want to look for everyone who purchased last year who has not yet purchased this year. So again, I know we have a lot of filters. There's so, much you could search for in our CRM, but I did want to show you some more revenue heavy filters that you can look into. You can refer back to this video if you did want to, try to replicate some of that and send out some targeted mass emails. But yeah, we call this the money funnel framework, right? So you want to set your goal and then, curate your segment around that goal. Again, keep in mind, you can save these segments. They exist right at the top of your CRM, and you can just replicate, replicate, replicate. If your goal, I want to send 8 mass emails, per year, you can set up all the segments. You can set up your mass mail templates, which we're about to talk about in a second. And that's a really good way to, navigate the CRM in that sense. Okay, so now that we have gone through the specific filters and some of the searches that you can do in our CRM, I did want to quickly touch on a brand new feature that we have. This is called Patron Lifecycle and RFM scoring. So you'll see at the very bottom, we have a newer tab here, and you'll see life cycle stage and RFM segment. Now, we are going to be doing a live demo of this new feature next Tuesday. We're going to be sending out an invite for this that you can join and learn more about the details of this. But I did want to point out just a few notes here. You have these two separate, search criterias that exist in the CRM. And this is actually built off of a really specific set of criteria that our engineers have set up and built to be automated into our CRM. So for our patron lifecycle, we have these time-based relationship stages from their purchase history. And it's pretty much whatever patrons fall into these stages will show up in these searches in your CRM. So you can see all these different stages. We have our prospect, we have our first timer, our new active, two or more purchases, first and last, both within 12 months. So you can see what we've auto built into the system is similar to the actual, layered searches that we were doing in our CRM. So we're hoping through the life cycle segments that it's easier to filter out the exact patrons that you want to target in the CRM. And then on top of that, you have your life cycle segments. You can see again, prospect, first timer, new active, active, lapsing, lapsed, dormant, one back. We can really try to capture all of these people with different types of emails. We have our RFM segments. Each patron is scored on a, scoring basis of 1 to 5, 5 being the best, on recency, frequency, and monetary value. That's relative to the venue's own patrons. So, on top of your life cycle scoring that you have over here, your segment, you have their RFM score. You can see who your champions are. This is your top frequency, top spending, your, loyal VIP patrons who are always, at the top of everything. And then you have your at-risk subscribers and at-risk ticket buyers, people who are not as active in your system. But everyone is scored kind of based on these specific criteria. So if we click back into our CRM, on top of layering our filters in this way, we can also filter just by the lifecycle and RFM scoring. If I want to see all of my prospects, I can see all of my prospects. If I want to see all of my active patrons, I can see all of my active patrons. I can also look at my RFM segments, right? I can see my champions. These are my top dogs. How do I reward them? How do I keep them coming back? How do I grant them first access to the best events? So again, this is a small touch on this. This will be expanded soon as well, and I'll talk about that more next week. But I did want to give you a little bit of taste of what, ThunderTix is building to try to help y'all collect as much revenue as you can. Okay, so now that we've learned about these filters, we've practiced some different filters in the CRM, I do want to talk now about mass mail. So the first step, right, is I need to segment these patrons based on this certain search criteria. And then two, I need to build a marketing campaign to send out an email and try to target these patrons to purchase tickets. Now, in good news, ThunderTix has its own built-in mass mail system. If you're in, again, patron database to CRM and mass mail, you'll see this blue button at the top right of the screen that says send mass mail. We'll go ahead and click on that. When you open this, you're going to see all of the templates that you have created in your mass mail system. You can replicate these templates. You can use them over and over and over again. But let's go ahead and do a quick filter here. So we're going to go ahead and search for, actually, we're searching for a champion. So let's go ahead and do that. If we click send mass mail, let her load for a sec. let's go ahead and create a new email so you can kind of see what that looks like. And we can name the template. We'll name it champions. We can go ahead and click create. Now, this is going to be very similar to the mass mail builder, that all of you probably use already. If you don't use ThunderTix, you're probably using MailChimp or Constant Contact or some other organization. Our mass mail builder is very similar to this. So you'll see that you have different kind of content blocks. If you want to build within ThunderTix, you have the option to, you can add images, text, all of the things that you could think of. I'm not actually going to build an email here. I'm going to show you a few different ways you can, build emails, but I'm not going to directly build this. If you did need assistance building a mass email with our visual builder, please let us know at support. Chris would be happy to help you, with any of that. But yeah, so we have a few options. How do we build an email? One, we can use our visual builder. Again, you can see you can select the content type. If I wanted an image, a divider, you can add all of your social links, Facebook, YouTube, etc. You can change the background colors. Again, custom text. The biggest thing to remember when you're building a mass email for a targeted marketing campaign is you always want to include a link for people to click into and purchase tickets. It's really important to be able to track which patrons are purchasing tickets from your mass mail campaigns versus anything else. And we can actually track that in ThunderTix, and I'm going to show you how. The other option we have to build a marketing campaign, is our HTML import. This is a brand new feature and it is so nice. I'm so excited to show all of you. So if we go ahead and click use HTML import, this is going to allow us to copy and paste an HTML plugin from any other sort of site that will auto-populate here. For example, many people use Canva to build emails. Canva has a bunch of gorgeous templates, it's very up to date. There's even for, upgraded accounts in Canva, there's an AI tool that you can use to automatically build these emails. So if you already use Canva to build emails, all you have to do is one, build the email. You can see we have the Velvet Paw email here. We have our, link. Again, I want to make sure to link my show here to have my patrons purchase tickets. All you have to do in Canva is if you click share, you'll see this right here, copy HTML. We'll do this. It'll just take 1 second here. Perfect. And then when I go back into my email, if I paste this here, you'll see that the email auto-populates in our mass email builder. So it's a really nice way, again, if you didn't want to use our visual builder, but use Canva or already use some other platform to build out your emails and design them and things like that, you can easily, paste them into the ThunderTix, mass mailer. On that note, I also like to talk about the use of AI when it comes to building emails. Some people have really small teams. They don't have, marketing teams that can, spend a lot of time building out these emails. So I did want to show you, let's say I only had 5 minutes to build out a marketing campaign. Let's say I want to send it out to patrons who have, purchased at least two orders in the past year, but haven't purchased this show yet. So I really want to target those people, but I only have a few minutes to do it. So we're going to go ahead and open any sort of like AI platform. And again, this is just a suggestion, but it does make it a lot easier. And I can prompt it with just a little thing here. Please build an HTML email plugin for an email I'm sending to patrons to purchase tickets to our new show, Beyond the Stage. Make it exciting. We got to cue it a little bit. I'm targeting patrons who have purchased blah, blah, blah. Add a button they can click that links to my website where they can purchase the tickets. I did include the link. Curate this email around my logo and the colors of my logo. I'm going to go ahead and actually insert my logo here. That way, the platform has something to go off of, and we'll go ahead and click search. We'll see what AI comes up with here. Normally just takes a few seconds for it to generate something here. Keep in mind, if you wanted to make edits to this, you didn't like it, you can always go back and prompt it again. Oh, I didn't like that. Can you change this? And it'll change it. And then you can recopy and paste it over. So let's say I wanted to use this instead. It's probably only been maybe 1 or 2 minutes. Let's paste this in. And so you can see it generated, a nice little email for me. You can always add pictures, you can do other things like that. But keep in mind when you're in the HTML builder, what you would have to do is add the pictures here for it to then carry over in the code. So there's no way to use a visual builder and an HTML import. It's one or the other. So just keep that in mind. But again, really easy way to quickly generate an email to send out to these targeted patrons. And again, probably between our search, and generating the email, it took us maybe 8 to 10 minutes. So really kind of good thing to know here. Now, once I am prepared and I have my email all ready to go, I have my purchase tickets link, I'm going to click on send options here. So I'll do the email subject. We'll say to that. We also have these tokens if you did want to. We'll say, why don't we do customer first name, comma, purchase your tickets to be on the stage. There we go. Okay. And we can include an attachment. You can include attachments. Let's say you had a PDF of the map or your parking instructions, whatever it may be. You can always include that in the email. You can schedule the email if you didn't want it sent out now. That's always an option. Now, before I send it out, I can always send myself a preview email. So let's go ahead and send myself a preview email here. So you'll see, again, your tokens aren't going to populate in your test emails, but it sent me just a quick test email. If I click purchase tickets, it's going to take me into my Velvet Paw site where I can go purchase those specific tickets. So again, really easy way to, come up with your email, generate it quickly, send yourself a quick test just to make sure everything's looking gorgeous and then send it out. Now, you'll see at the bottom here, this email is going to be sent to 9 recipients. It's going to tell you how many people you're sending this mass email out to. That's important to know. If this number ever doesn't look right, go back and check your search criteria. I'll show you how to do that in just a second. But you're going to be able to see that number populate here. And then once you are all prepared, you're going to go ahead and click send now. And that's going to send out your mass email. Now, the minute you send out your mass email, what's going to happen is you're going to be brought to this marketing emails page. If you ever needed to, access this outside of just after sending an email, it's in your patron database again and under marketing emails here. After you send out your mass email, you're going to be able to see all of the statistics behind what happened when you sent out that email. So you can see the number of sent emails, opened, clicked, bounced, the people who unsubscribed from you when you sent it. You will also be able to see the number of orders and the total revenue and average order of anyone who purchased something through ThunderTix through your mass mail. That's why you always want to include those links because it's important that you know that we are actually tracking the revenue. We call it an ROI, return on investment, for the mass mail system here. Now, let me just pull this up for a second. I did want to show you some examples. I went ahead and looked through some of our clients, just to see our more recent mass emails and see some of the ROI. Before we get into that, I did want to talk about ThunderTix pricing for mass mail. It's important to know that we have really tried to make our mass mail system more affordable, more robust, so that people really try to stay in-house with us. So our starting price for mass mail is $10 a month. This is going to include the first 4,000 emails you send. So $10 for 4,000 emails. Any additional emails are $0.002 per email. So it's very cheap. You can send a lot of emails. The biggest kind of thing I want to hit home on, if you use some other sort of mailing system like MailChimp or Constant Contact, you have a limitations to the number of contacts you can have in your system. The good thing about ThunderTix, you can have unlimited contacts. We're not going to charge you for the number of patrons you have in our database. We want you to have unlimited patrons. All we're going to charge you is the structure here, $10 a month, including the first 4,000 emails and $0.002 per email sent after that. And that's on a monthly basis. So if you think about that, we go back. I'll send all of you this so you can kind of see the other the other things here. Chris made a gorgeous comparison of the three. But we really, really wanted to hit home on the unlimited contacts and the very affordable mass mail pricing we have here. But if we go to our, marketing emails, you can see, you know, this client sent 1,900 emails, which really falls again under the 4,000 email, thing. But even if it didn't, that's a few dollars. Out of that email that they sent, they had, a bunch of opened emails, seven orders, $373.88 in total revenue. So your ROI is massive on sending out these emails. Same here, sent 3,000 emails. I mean, that's, that's a few dollars, right? If it's not in your 4,000. Five orders for $215. I mean, this one was amazing. They sent 2,396 emails. They got five orders for $894. So I think it really goes to show the people who are using our CRM and this targeted marketing, and is doing targeted marketing, they're really, getting a return on that investment. And it's something for you to consider. Can I take 10 minutes to query these patrons and send out a quick mass mail? It may be worth it looking at some of these numbers. Let her load. And again, I can see exactly who it was sent to, who opened, etc. You'll also see here under search criteria that you'll see the patron search. If I click into this, it's going to bring me back into CRM. Thank you so much, everyone. Really appreciate you being here today. And as always, Chris and I are here for you, if you have any questions or need anything or have any suggestions. So thanks again for attending, and I hope all of you have a great day.